Hello class, good evening. So our lesson for today is all about implementing the curriculum. This means that the teacher is the curriculum implementer and manager. So the teacher will put action to what has been planned and designed. So remember, before implementing, the teacher will design and develop the curriculum, right? So curriculum can be a lesson plan or it can be the syllabus. So it is you, the teacher, who will add more meaning to the various activities in the classroom. This is what we call teaching style. So before you can teach, you have to understand your teaching style. So whether you are learner-centered, you are teacher-centered, or content-centered. So this is also the time when the teacher have to make the day of the learners interesting, engaging, and unforgettable. So meaning to say, if you want to engage more learners as you implement the curriculum that you design, your teaching style should be more of that or more of the learner-centered teaching style. So no curriculum should stop at planning or designing phase. It has to be implemented. So when we implement the curriculum, no, there are a lot of things that we need to consider. First is the change. So as we have discussed in the previous lesson, there is a need to change the curriculum, especially if it does not anymore addresses the needs of the society. So change is inevitable in the curriculum development. To be relevant, we need to change. A change for the better, and it will be obviously seen through implementation. Curriculum implementation defined. Curriculum implementation is the phase where teacher actions take place. It is one of the most crucial processes in curriculum development. So when you say crucial, it means very important because when you plan the curriculum, the next step is implementation. They say that a good plan is work half done. This means that the other half of the success of curriculum development rests in the hands of the implementer. So the implementer is the teacher. So when we implement the curriculum, teachers should be prepared. No? They have to prepare the materials, they have to have or they need to have mastery of the lesson, the competence in facilitating learning and also in classroom management. It is a process wherein the learners acquire the planned or intended knowledge, skills, and attitudes that are aimed at enabling the learners to function effectively in the society. So when we implement the curriculum, we have to make sure that students are really involved, they are engaged in the activity so that they will acquire and understand the lesson, acquire knowledge and skills, and also attitudes important to them so that they will be able to change their behavior and function effectively in the society. Ornstein and Hankins define curriculum implementation as interaction between the curriculum that has been written and planned and the persons meaning the teachers who are in charge to deliver it. So the interaction here, class, between the lesson plan and the teacher only means that the teacher should have sufficient understanding on the lesson plan, because without or if the teacher does not have knowledge about the lesson plan, then implementation will be a failure. Curriculum implementation implies four things. First, shift from what is current to a new or enhanced curriculum. So before we have the RBEC or the revised basic education curriculum, and now the enhanced curriculum is the K-12 curriculum. Second, change in knowledge, actions, attitudes of persons involved. So the persons directly involved in the implementation are the teachers. So the teachers have to change their knowledge, actions, and attitudes, no, from being traditional teachers to being more learner-centered teachers. So traditional approaches includes behaviorist approaches, meaning to say we think of our learners as passive learners. But now, in constructivism or constructivist approach, we think that our learners are actively learning. Number 3, change in behavior using new strategies and resources. So once we change our line of thoughts, our actions, our attitudes, they become our behavior. So we have to change our behavior and try out innovative strategies and resources. So we have to think about, because we are already applying constructivist approaches, so we have to think of um, engaging our students in group discussion or small group discussion to develop communication. No? We have to think of more collaboration between and among our students so that they are actively learning. So here, the activities are learner driven. We should also try out ICT because ICT is one of the tools in which learners develop collaboration, critical thinking, creative thinking, and communication skills. Number 4, change which requires efforts, hence goals should be achievable. So effort here means that teachers should be willing to embrace the change. They have to trust the change and trust the process so that the the aim of the implementation of the curriculum is achieved. So again, Lux and Lieberman define curriculum implementation as trying out of a new practice and what it looks like when actually used in a school system. So the new practice here, the new school of thought in teaching and learning is the K-12 curriculum, which is anchored on constructivism theory. And so now we have to see how it fits to our school system, how it fits to the learning style of our students and the needs of our students. So this implementation should bring desired change and improvement. So when we change from um, teacher-centered or content-centered to learner-centered strategies and approaches, so we expect that there is a desired change and improvement among our students and how they interact when they go out to the real world. Before I proceed, let me go back to number 4, that is change, which requires efforts, hence goals should be achievable. So effort does not only mean willingness of the teacher. Aside from that, effort also means that all of teachers need to work together to achieve a common goal, which is the implementation of the new curriculum. For example, the K-12 curriculum. All right. So now, in the classroom context, curriculum implementation means teaching what has been written in the lesson plan. So implementing means using the plan as your guide to engage your learners in the teaching learning process. Of course, This implementation should be about achieving the learning outcomes. Implementation involves the different strategies with the support of instructional materials. So that is for the classroom context. In a large scale, curriculum implementation means putting the curriculum into operation with the different implementing agents. So putting the curriculum into operation means right now we are adopting the K-12 curriculum, and implementing the K-12 curriculum or the K-12 curriculum involves a lot of agents. So when we involve a lot of agencies, a lot of people, we need time, money, personal interaction, personal contacts, and support. Next, curriculum implementation as a process. So curriculum change is based on the theory of Kurt Levin's force field theory. Kurt Levin is the father of social psychology who explains the process of change. The model can be used, now his model, which is the force field theory, can be used to explain curriculum change and implementation. So in the education landscape, there are always two forces that oppose each other. These are the driving force, number one, and number two, the restraining force. When these two forces are equal, the state is equilibrium, or there is balance. There will be status quo when there will be no change over a certain period of time. So meaning to say the situation or condition will stay the same over a certain period of time. However, when the driving force overpowers, so this is a scale, when the driving force overpowers the restraining force, there will be change, or change will occur. And if the opposite happens, so the restraining force overpowers the driving force, so change is prevented. So what are these driving force and restraining force? So driving force includes government intervention, society's values, technological changes, knowledge explosion, administrative support. And then the restraining forces include fear of the unknown, negative attitude to change, tradition values, limited resources, and obsolete equipment. So these are the two forces, the driving force and then the restraining force, and between them is the equilibrium. So when there is balance, there is equilibrium. Now, since we are talking about K-12 and it is a change in the curriculum, so for example, under the driving force is government intervention. So when the government intervention is so high, no, there is change. So when, for example, when the government signed the Republic Act number 10533, which institutionalizes the implementation of K-12 curriculum. Therefore, the effect is we change our curriculum, or there is a change in curriculum. However, on the flip side, when the restraining force says, for example, fear of the unknown, or there is too much negative attitude towards change about K-12 curriculum. There are concerns about limited resources and obsolete equipment. When these restraining forces are too high, then the change of curriculum is prevented, and even the implementation of the new curriculum. So according to Levin, change will be better if restraining forces shall be decreased rather than increasing the driving force. So when the restraining force is too high, it is better to decrease the restraining force rather than increasing the driving force. So how do we decrease the restraining force? For example, fear of the unknown. So we need to let our parents understand why we need to change the curriculum and why do we need to adapt the K-12 curriculum. Another is how to uh, how to address problems such as limited resources and obsolete um, equipment. So we can address that by the government rather can address that by giving sufficient financial support or budget to education so that we are able um, to provide more resources and of course buy and our put aside our obsolete resources and buy new ones. All right, next will be categories of curriculum change. McNeil categorized curriculum change as follows. There are five: substitution, alteration, restructuring, perturbations, and value orientation. The first one is substitution. The current curriculum will be replaced or substituted by a new one. So there is a replacement. This also means that there is a complete overhaul. For example, changing an old book to entirely new one. Not merely revision, but change, total change. Next, number two is alteration. There is a minor change to the current or existing curriculum. For example, instead of using graphing paper for mathematics teaching, this can be altered, slightly altered by using a graphing calculator. Number three, restructuring. Building a new structure would mean major change or modification in the school system or educational system. For example, using an integrated curriculum for the whole school for K to 12 requires the primary and secondary levels to work as a team. So if we want to make K to 12 curriculum effective, we have to primary levels, elementary teachers, and secondary teachers should meet together because the lessons are connected since K-12 is based on spiral progression. So lessons are connected from simple to difficult, and even the skills are connected from simple to complex. So, and then another example of restructuring is the curriculum that will be restructured when there is a significant involvement of parents in the child's learning instead of leaving everything to the teacher, because traditionally or in the past, not uh, the parents did not take major role or any role in the learning or development of their children. But now we encourage active participation, from parents. So that is why we encourage our parents to come to class, or not come to class, but to really have constant communication with the teacher in terms of the challenges of their in terms of the challenges of their children in the classroom, the behavior of the children, and even their how the children progress from in our in the different subject areas in the classroom. Next, another example of restructuring is using blended curriculum. So the use of online materials, resources, and online classroom. That is also restructuring, meaning that is moving towards modern type of school system or education system. Next is perturbations. Number 4. These are changes that are disruptive. But so teachers have to adjust to them within a fairly short time. For example, if the teacher or rather the principal changes the time schedule because there is a need to catch up with the national testing. So the teacher has to shorten the schedule to accommodate unplanned extracurricular activities. So another example being disruptive is the COVID-19 outbreak. So classes or face-to-face interaction is suspended and we go now to online learning interaction. Number 5 is value orientation. So to McNeil, this is a type of curriculum change, no? Perhaps this classification will respond to the shift in the emphasis that the teacher provides which are not within the mission and vision of the school. For example, when the new teacher is hired or recruited in a religious school, and then the teacher is giving emphasis on academics and forgets the formation of values or faith. So the teacher needs curriculum value orientation. What does it mean? So the teacher needs to embrace the values of the school, the ideals of the school, and the vision of the school. And not only focusing, especially if the school is from a religious sector, no? So the teacher has to also teach values and faith. Next, another example of value orientation is when teachers no are recruited also in the public school. So these teachers undergo induction program, which is a special curriculum for newly hired teacher. So this is in the public school. So once you are inside the system, inside the public school system, there is a higher degree of professionalism and of course higher expectation coming from the society and the parents in particular, and of course a deeper commitment to serve your students. Okay, so regardless of the change or kind of change in curriculum and implementation, the process of change may contain three important elements. Curriculum implementation as a process should be developmental, participatory, and supportive. It should be developmental in the sense that it should develop multiple perspectives. You need to say different perspectives coming from different teachers with different specialization should be considered. Increase integration and make learning autonomous. Meaning to say the teacher is given um, freedom to learn from the new curriculum. Create a climate of openness and trust and appreciate and affirm strengths of the teacher. So do not be very negative about how teacher transition from the past curriculum to the new curriculum. So there should be support. Support is very important and very crucial in the transition of the teacher, especially in trying new tasks. So remember that traditionally teachers are the sole source of information and they want to change to become facilitator of learning so that the transition process is not easy. Therefore, teachers' support is really necessary. So in this transition period, there should be reflection on the new experiences and challenges. So the teacher should reflect about the different hindrances or challenges that hinder him in the implementation of the new curriculum. And also the teacher should be able to appreciate the new learning experiences, in taking a new role in the implementation of the curriculum. So in this developmental curriculum change process, there are stages, no? The first stage is orientation and preparation. So this is an initial step, no, of the teacher, and this is very of the change of the curriculum rather, and this is very mechanical and routinary. What does this mean? So meaning to say, when the teacher try a new task, they will just copy or they will just follow what is written on the book, right? So when we are trying a new task, we will just copy what others are doing. However, as the skills are honed and mastery of routine established, refinement follows. This means that as the teacher becomes accustomed, becomes what is accustomed? Becomes kanang as the teacher as the teacher if the teacher is able to adjust already to the new task, no, the teacher becomes an experienced teacher. So as an experienced teacher, he should be able to make changes, make adjustments of his lesson plan so that it would fit to the needs and unique characteristics of his learners. So this step, no, will be a continuous reflection, feedback, and refinement. So the first step should be about reflection. There are a lot of reflection processes that will be involved because the teacher is new to the experience, and there is feedback along the way as the teacher tries the new task. Now, meaning to say, that is why the principal or the master teacher conducts regular classroom observation to assist the teachers, no, in the implementation of the new curriculum, to give them suggestions about how to improve their teaching style, their approaches, strategies, and even their method. And then when the teacher makes adjustment from the suggestion, is able to um, properly and appropriately adjust to the new experience, then there is refinement. The teacher becomes an effective, efficient, and experienced teacher. The second process is participatory. For the curriculum implementation to succeed, it should be participatory, especially because other stakeholders like peers, school leaders, parents, curriculum specialists are necessary. So characteristics of teacher styles, commitment, willingness to change, skills and readiness are critical to the implementation, because if teachers are not ready, they are not committed, their their teaching style is still traditional, then it can really affect negatively to the implementation. This is not only, because this is participatory, this is not only focused on the teacher. This is coupled also with the principal style. So, and even student population, no, there should also be change in the number of students, ideally. So meaning to say, um, that the principal should also support whatever whatever decision the teacher should do that they feel appropriate for their classroom. Therefore, trust among key players should also be sought. So principals should trust their teachers, and the teachers should also trust their principal. Involvement and participation encourage sense of ownership and accountability. So when the teachers, parents, and the principals are involved in that implementation process, they gain ownership, no, of the curriculum and accountability, no? They are accountable to to whatever result, no, in the implementation. And lastly, supportive. No, the process includes the process should be supportive rather. So supportive curriculum implementation is required in the process of change. Support includes material support such as supplies, school supplies, equipment, and conducive classrooms and laboratories. Human support is also very needed. For example, as I told you, no, the leaders or the principal not only participate but should also support their should have full support to their teachers. And because of this, the principal should be also trained, no? Should be trained to understand how to address the curriculum change as part of their instructional and management functions. So with all of these changes, time is really an important commodity for a successful change process. For any innovation, a period of 3 to 5 years, no, to institutionalize a curriculum is suggested. Time is needed by the teachers to plan, adapt, train, practice, and provide necessary requirement to get support. Time is also needed to determine when implementation starts and when it will conclude. Thank you.